Thanks so much for tuning in to the Trade Setup with me, Neeraj Shah. And it's the all-important Fed day. But I have an Indian statistic which is interesting. Some of you might have noticed this on social media. But did you know, if you didn't, it's interesting, that Bajaj Housing Finance's market cap after the 10% up move yesterday exceeds the combined market cap of 10 major subsequent HFCs. I mean, that's the extent of premium that the street has already given to the new kid on the block. I mean, newly listed stock really. It's not technically a kid and not new to the block as well because it's a Sanjeev Bajaj group. But this was quite astonishing as to the kind of premium that the street can sometimes give. Yeah, it's happened in the past with Growth Finance in valuation or Bajaj Finance in valuation, but this is valuation plus market capitalization both. So quite stunning, really. Okay. Anyways, get back to the US market. Get by the markets. It's an all-important day, like I said. And ahead of that day, you know, every trader across the street would be forgiven for being cautious and watchful and not being too belligerent. So the US markets were flattish, ended flat. Futures currently flat as well. Really doubt Asia is doing something too different. Flattish moves as well. And our implied open as well should be a flattish start. I mean, don't expect anything different ahead of it. I mean, you would be a brave heart to really take large index calls ahead of this big move. So what's the big thing today, right? The Fed decision coming out today. I mentioned this yesterday. I'm reiterating it today. The market is currently pricing in a 62% possibility of a 50 basis points rate cut. The probability was 25% about 1 month back. This is as per the CME Group's FedWatch tool. So the big question is, has the Nifty already positioned itself, or is the Nifty positioning itself for a 50 basis points cut from the Fed? One would reckon that the answer for most markets could be a yes. And wherein I think lies the little bit of a disappointment possibility. So what's the trade setup for the day today? I mean, indices maintained a cautious tone ahead of the Fed meet. Remember, India VIX too is at the lowest point at 12.59. It's the lowest point in the month gone by. And therefore, I would suspect that it's only a stock-specific move which is possible. Very difficult to see. Very large leverage moves coming in. And I'll tell you why, viewers, because the market is positioning itself based on all the last comments for a 50 basis points cut. But if you look at the recent data that has come in, official figures earlier yesterday showed that the US retail sales in August were a lot stronger. The US financial conditions are also the losers since April 22nd, according to Goldman Sachs. So a lot of US data is not looking all that bad. The Fed might just give 25, and I reckon that might lead the markets to maybe just pull back a little bit temporarily, but for a day trader, that could be important. Nevertheless, independent of all of what happens then, the Morgan Stanley team is very constructive on India. So Jonathan Gardner and group, this is not the CME Group, by the way, but they are saying that India will continue to gain. No, let's stick. India will continue to gain due to market outperformance and liquidity improvements. They say new issuance and liquidity improvements, of course. They remain overweight India and underweight China in our Pan-Asia EM asset allocation. This is Jonathan Gardner. Remember, India eclipsed China on the IMI, which is Investable Large, Mid and Small Cap Availability Tool for MSCI. And now China still remains overweight ahead of India on the overall benchmark, but I reckon at some point of time that might get eclipsed too. The only fly in the ointment in the last 24 hours is that trade deficit has widened because the surge in gold imports to a record level, $10.1 billion, drove the higher deficit. So, but it's just a small fly in the ointment. Nevertheless, what are the stocks to watch in the session today? Not that these guys react every single point of time, but the windfall tax reduced to zero. May see a bit of a reaction on some of these. Railways could be interesting. FM Nirmala Sitharaman reviewed the railway capex and said that the government will expedite 40,000 rail bogies to be converted into Vande Bharat standards. Will expedite railway track electrification and doubling as per the budget capex, and railways to apprise 101 projects under the Economic Corridors program in 2024. So a lot of things for a lot of players under the railway space. So watch out. I mean, you know, you might get the wagon manufacturers, Titagarh Wagons, Texmaco, Jupiter Wagons, etc. Kavach programs, so Kernex and the likes, Railtel, all of these could be in focus today. Jupiter has specific reasons as well. They're going to expand capacity from 20,000 forged wheel sets to 1 lakh forged wheel sets per annum shortly. The investment will happening at an approximate capex of 2,500 crores. Viewers, if a company which is entrenched in the railway space, is incurring such a large capex, it means that the plans for procurement of coaches is not going to die down in the next 2-3 years. This probably points to a multi-year program. In fact, I remember an HSBC note which had laid out the capex plans or the procurement plans from the railways till 2041. So therefore, yes, these stocks are expensive, but they are not fly and then die stories. I think this program is here to stay. So keep an eye out for some of the wagon names. Seagal India is the other one. It's L1 for construction of 4 to 6 lane Northern Ayodhya bypass for about 1,199 crores, and L1 for a Southern Ayodhya bypass, which is about 1,299 crores. So watch out for Seagal. Very likely could have a reaction. This is a large win for the company of its size. So do keep an eye out for this one. Torrent Power has received an LOI for 1500 megawatt pumped hydro storage project. That stock could be in focus. Some of the metal stocks could be in focus because iron ore has been correcting, and Goldman Sachs has revised the iron ore price forecast lower to $85 per ton from $100 per ton. Now, independent of whether it goes to those levels or no, but anything which uses iron ore or produces iron ore, and therefore the NMDCs, Vedantas, etc., all of them come in focus, could be in focus today. There is a lot of chatter around SKF demerger globally. I just want to lay it out before we wrap up, just lay out what's happened essentially. So what SKF Global has said, by the way, that here's the thing, right? Auto business, small part of the consolidated business and a lower margin business of 5 to 6%. Industrial business margins are at 16 to 18%, being spun off to unlock value. This is at a global level. Now, a lot of people are saying, therefore, oh, is this a positive for India? I just want to lay it out from somebody who attended the con call that there is no major impact on the India business, because there was not a single comment on the India business during the con call conducted yesterday at 7 p.m. IST by the SKF AB CEO or the CFO. So there was no comment out there in yesterday's con call. SKF India revenue split is about 60% industrial, 40% automotive. But just that, the demerger at the global level shows the management focus on improving capital allocation. And I think that is something that will sit well with the street. So maybe SKF reacts, but let me tell you again, no fundamental big reason for SKF to react dramatically, because this is not happening on an India level per se. Just one last, very, very quickly before we wrap up, are there some brokerage calls worth mentioning? So CLSA has an underperform on Bajaj Auto. I think the target price is 7,000 versus the current market price, which is way higher. So watch out for Bajaj Auto. 7,000 is their call. And Macquarie, I think, has a note on TCS, and they are saying that TCS is growing faster than Infosys on spending rebounds, and therefore their 12-month target price is 5,740 versus current market price of 4,505. Watch out, maybe TCS reacts a bit. So that's another stock that you want to keep an eye out for. Thanks so much for tuning in to this trade setup. Remember, it's the all-important Fed meeting outcome day, and we'll be here in full strength to give you live updates as and when the event happens and get you all the expert opinion surrounding the Fed decision and its impact on India.